Welcome back to our Groundskeeper chat series. I'm your host, Meg Kruger, and today we are kicking off our celebration of International Women's Month with an OG Women in Turf panel discussion. So Kelly Lynch is the host and moderator of this conversation that happened down at SFMA in Salt Lake City, and she is joined by Sun Roesslein, Nina Oldenkamp, Christi Clay, and Crystal Fricker. So these 5 women are some of the OG members of the Women in Turf team. They're the original recipe, the OG sauce for women in turf in both the golf and sports turf industries. So they kick off this conversation just really talking about that origin story and how some of these movements really came into play and how we have now seen all of the cool events they've been able to be a part of on social media out here in the industry. Then they talked a little bit about, where the movement is headed and how people can get involved and support the movement. Kelly asks each of the panelists, what makes them brave, what made them brave to do certain things in their industries, and, what continues to make them brave. We have a nice little plug for their upcoming documentary and their website. And we really just get to hear from 5 women who, at a time when they started in this industry, may have been one woman in the room, and now they get to go to conferences and events and be one of many, and how really exciting that is for all of them, and how exciting it is for them to play a role in bringing up the next generation of women in turf. So, without further ado, I'll let Kelly take it away. Enjoy this Women in Turf panel discussion to help kick off our International Women's Month celebration. Enjoy.
Welcome back at the Pioneer booth here in Salt Lake City at SFMA. We are here with some of the most incredible people in this industry, and I'm very excited to hand the microphone off to a real podcast host, the first one ever on Tiger Turf Talk. Kelly, here you go. You guys have a wonderful time.
Thanks, Dialed. If you don't know him by his real name, it's Drew, but we call him Dialed because he's been such an influencer, not only for our group, but certainly a champion for all of us. And Drew, much love. All right. Wow, this is fun. Woo! I know, right? Thank you. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't give our own Mighty Meg a shout out.
Yeah.
Mighty. Love you,
Meg. Miss you, Meg.
Miss you, Meg. And so thankful for you, Meg. You've been such a huge help and influence
And the voice of the Women in Turf team. And we love you and appreciate you.
Yes. That might have been a little sunblock in my eye real quick there. So thank you, Nina. Love you. So it's fun for me to be here today. Mighty, I think what you did is inspire all of us to step outside of our comfort zones, which this is not necessarily outside of my comfort zone, but there's a few of us that are here with me today that this might be outside of their comfort zone. So I think your influence helped us understand that we have this fun opportunity to share with what's going on out there in our lives and what it's done for us in our lives. And so today we get to speak with a bunch of the Women in Turf team. And there's a lot of high fives that have gone around this table. But we do also have a special guest with us, Crystal Fricker, who is the CEO and president of Pure Seed and Pure Seed Testing. And I brought her along with me to give her a shout out because without Crystal, I would not be here sitting here today, because Crystal's the one who believed in me and the one who allowed me to have access to so many opportunities that I never dreamed would happen in my professional lifetime. And so, Crystal, I love that you're here with us today. And I think we talked a little bit about an origin story of how all of these things started to happen and started to come along. Would you share with us a little bit in terms of the bridge that you built for all of us? Would you share with us how that bridge was built and what happens as we move forward, as you see the future, crystal vision, if you will?
Thank you, Kelly. It's a real pleasure to be here with these great women. And I think it all started when we were at the Women in Golf with Bear, and they brought in a lot of different women from different aspects of the industry. And I was on the Zoom. That was one during COVID, so we were only able to do it through Zoom. But just seeing the bright talent that is out there and realizing that we have a connection. And I think as women, we have a lot to offer. And a lot of us, it's just our job. This is what we've always done. But this group, I think, has taken it to another level. And the beauty of it is the friendships that are created and how, Kelly was able to interact with everyone and get people from the golf side and the sports turf side and the seed distributor side, and just all that together, I think, is an amazing story. And just that it got started and how it's evolving and is going to be such an influence, has been an influence, and has allowed us to influence each other, support each other, and kind of build the story of the value of the turfgrass industry.
I love that. And I think when we talk about the origin story, there were a lot of high fives handed out along the way. And as we were able to gain some momentum, along comes our champion, Troy Flanagan, at the Olympic Club and asked Kimberly Gard if she might help him find 30 plus women volunteers from the superintendent side and the golf course side. And Kimberly said, absolutely. And how fortunate are we all to sit here today? We love you, Kimberly Gard.
Magic purse.
Magic purse. I love it. And so it was with her vision and Troy's vision. I think that the Olympic Club, Troy had thought 5 years prior, once they knew they were going to play host to the Olympic or the U.S. Women's Open, that if he could get a group of women and make a splash, if you would, into the industry. And boy, was his vision correct. And we all had the privilege to be there. And as we call it, break the grass ceiling. And then as we move forward, David Frichty at Pine Needles, in conjunction with Kimberly, was able to also move that needle more and bring a whole bunch of us to the U.S. Women's Open at Pine Needles this last year. And then with the brains and the beauty that all sit here today, there was a crossover event, and we'll talk about that. It came with Sun Roesslein and Kimberly Gard and Chris Butter Ball, and we just call him Butter. And then as we move forward, and Sun, if you might share from there, how you then connected the whole group back to the sports field side.
Yeah, sure. That first year at the Olympic Club, in my mind, I kind of envisioned that event being kind of like a drop like a stone thrown into the pond. And you can imagine the ripples that would extend forever and ever. But I think what Kimberly challenged us to do in the sports field side was to actually make that a skipping stone instead. So we have more ripples that will spread across the industry. And then they also overlap, right? When you skip a stone, those ripples overlap and they come together. And I think that's what the first event did, and hopefully we continue to do in the future. So yeah, Kimberly challenged to set up the challenge to say, what are we going to do in sports fields? And there's a lot of ideas for sure. So getting some sports field managers together all over the country as well, all over their careers. We had some industry veterans. We had 16-year-old high school students. So we spanned the generations. And we got to do what we love to do and do best and we're most passionate about in front of young female athletes to hopefully spark their vision a little bit, to understand that, hey, field management is a profession. There are women who are succeeding at doing this job, and it might be something I want to look into down the future.
And I love that you shared that part of it, because when that started to come to fruition now, and I believe that, are you all OGs?
Yes.
Yeah. And so Sun Roesslein, Christi Clay, Nina Oldenkamp, all OGs that have been to all the events, that have created the stir. I love the rock in the pond.
It was great.
Ripples.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
so,
did not go to the World Series, Little League World Series. I wasn't there.
in my mind, you were.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's
Her head on a stick. I was on the stick,
Okay.
but two opens for sure.
Okay. And so what is it now as we look forward? We know what's happened. We understand the privilege that we have to be in those venues, to have the opportunities to create really not only the vision for what comes next, but the influence what happens next. So how do we adjust to what happens next? Any thoughts?
I'm going to take this just for a second, because right after I got off the phone with Kimberly Gard, I called Nina and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And her instant answer was, let's do it. So I think that's what happens next. Whatever opportunity comes, let's do it. Absolutely.
The opportunities just keep coming in, and it might be volunteering for something like this, or just being there for each other and supporting each other. So we kind of joke about it, and we say we're kind of blowing with the wind right now because we don't know what comes at us because it's so new. So I'm excited to see what's coming next. We do have some things that we're trying to figure out, but we're just going to keep going at it and just getting the word out there that the Women in Turf are a team and that we support each other. We're bringing more people out from the woodwork, I guess you could say, and we're finding there's more and more that want to be a part of it. And so where it's going, I don't know. The sky's the limit.
Right, call us.
Call us, yeah.
We know some gals.
If you know something you want to do, let's do it.
And that crossover between the two associations, right? You know, both females on both sides, superintendents, assistant supers, and then sports field managers on our side. So, yeah, that crossover, bringing those two groups together, we're going to break the grass ceiling, right?
Love it. And I think you were going to share about the crossover.
Yeah, I think
and what you're
where
seeing
it's
there.
all going is to the next generations. I think you really have hit on something where you had high school and college kids in the last event. And so to me, that is the future, and what we really need to do as a group is to educate, expose, involve those gals that are coming. And that will be what keeps us going, and that's what's so important for our industry is bringing in more folks, and I think that means more gals.
Sure.
And the difference that they can make, and just talking at the reception last night with some of the gals that were with you all, and their interest, their excitement, and some of their timidity, and just talking with them about how it's okay to step out and do something different and just ask questions and learn and share. And the fire is catching.
Yeah.
I mean, I caught it with them like, yeah, we got to get more girls involved and do
They're
this.
not
This
shy,
is fun.
right?
Yeah, this is cool. This is what we want to do.
Yeah.
Well, and I love that you share that because part of I think your brilliance, Son and Kimberly, in setting up the who was coming to the Softball Little League World Series was intentional. I mean, there were 40 years. Nina's responsible for it all.
You're in
Just
on
Nina.
that one,
It's just Nina. But with your vision of who that should be and who we can attract, there's a hashtag going around, see it, be it. Can you walk me through what that looks like?
It's it's being visible, right? It's these gals, out on that Little League World Series field, and all those young little girls in the stands seeing them, all the young girls that are playing, seeing these ladies out there and thinking, wow, this is something that I love to do. Why can I cross that over in future? Like, just being visible. Yeah.
And the Little League Series was such a fantastic event because not only was it teams from the U.S., there were international teams as well.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity to go to East Carolina University and prepare their field. And so we used that sort of as a training ground for the up-and-comers, I'm going to say it, the new Gs. But they got a chance to try something they'd never done before. They prepared that entire field all on their own.
You said they asked to do that, right? Like
Yeah, they wanted to do that. So that ended up being a completely unexpected but organic experience. And I think it was fantastic for them. It was fantastic because those two teams that played were Canada and Italy. So, we're going international already, which is,
Huge.
that absolutely blows my mind for sure.
And also with the new Gs is what we call them. What was also great about the See It Be It is that by going to ECU, they gained this confidence that they came back later that night, or it was the next night, and said, we want to run the whole championship game. We want the OGs to take a step back, and our minds were blown. And so talking about the OGs teaching the new Gs were teaching the old Gs how to stand back, teach, and let us do it. And some of the greatest experiences for me as an OG was at that series, watching the younger generation just bloom right in front of our eyes, and that was a really cool experience. So.
And I think that, and I know I'm going to talk about this, but I'm not going to ask you about it. But I know Crystal is one of the people in my life who made me brave. Brave to go and do things that maybe were out of my comfort zone, maybe different than I would have thought my career was going to go. And I think you also have had that experience. There's a lot of brave in that background for you, Crystal. So maybe share a little bit about what made you brave, and then what we're going to walk through is what you saw with those eyes looking back to you. So kind of a two-part scenario. So
3 things make me brave. One of those is my faith and the belief that God has brought me through all the experiences in my life to be able to share that with others. And so number 2 makes me brave because I want to share with others and develop those relationships and help others, support others, bring them up, allow them to learn what I've learned and expose them to some of the things so they don't have to go through maybe some of the tougher aspects. But even that is okay. We go through tough things. It makes us a better person, and we can share that with others. And then the third thing is just being together. Together we're stronger. And I think that we're talking today, I said it earlier to Kelly, we're talking about strong women, but really I think what makes a strong woman is a wise woman. And wisdom is what helps us to relate better with each other. It's not all about me. It's about what's best for everyone.
bravo, thank you.
Servant leadership.
Very wise, right there. Very wise answer.
And so in that tone, in exchange, because of how she believes, and I actually sought Crystal out. Full disclosure, I recruited myself to work for Crystal about 6.5 years ago now. And she's changed my life. She's believed in me. She's made me brave. She's allowed me to go and do these things and build a lot of bridges that I would not have had the privilege to do so without your support. And now you're building the same bridges because I drug some of you over that bridge a little bit.
Whether you wanted it or not, you're coming with.
Right.
It'll be fun.
Get in.
Get in.
Get in. It'll be fun. Kelly promises. Words from a wise woman.
But because of my belief in the importance of it and the connectivity, and I think that's exactly what you just shared, right? The ability for us to connect has also been part of the privilege. So how is it now? And let's draw us back to Softball Little League World Series, where there's literally 40 years difference between one of the eldest, probably myself, and our youngest, Squeak,
Squeaks.
Squeaks.
Liz.
What's her real name? Liz.
Rice.
That's her real name.
Sorry, Squeak.
Well done.
And so, but it was fun for me to stand there and be like, wow, 40 years ago, I was not looking at through this lens. And so, and you just shared with Maritza coming forward the night before it's game day, the championship, saying, hey, I would please like to call the ball tomorrow. I think we're ready. So what was that through your lenses when you felt that exchange? You didn't have to drag anybody over a bridge there, right? The bridge had been built. Now we're quantifying some things. So what was it from your lens that as you saw that kind of unfold in front of us?
I wasn't there. This on these two.
For me, it was just a real moment of pride. Like, when I think back in those days when I was that age, I don't think that I would have had the courage and the strength to be able to step up and say, hey, I want to step up. I want to take this on. I want to do it in the big time, the championship game. So a lot of pride for Maritza to feel like she could ask that question and feel safe enough to ask that question and know that we were all there to believe in them and that they were going to come out and rock it. So it was really a pride moment for me.
I think pride's the word, and we talk about Maritza because she's the one that approached us with the idea. And some know that it was a crying moment because it was, tears of how cool it was, how proud we were of her to see that. And then what's that?
A mom moment.
A mom moment. but it made me realize what's next too. I mean, having a young girl like Maritza Martinez, I think she's 25 years old. I mean, I'm blown away by that night. I'm blown away by some actions just during this conference that, that she has done here, like taking a step up, bringing Meg with us. I mean, her wheels are always turning, and not just where it's all the girls. Their wheels are turning, and I'm excited to see 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it is with those girls, because they are the next generation, and we are very proud of them.
They're bold.
Yeah, just to add to that too, for them to have the opportunity, right, was really a impactful moment as well, because it was a first. It was the first time that happened in the sports field world. I'm certain it's not going to be the last, but to start off with that kind of an impact on that range of experiences, I can't even really fathom what that's going to look like 5-10 years down the road, because it's mind-boggling.
And I love what you shared that, because I'm not certain I thought I would see this in my career. And so I think, is that fair to say, Crystal?
Like you didn't even imagine it, right? Like, no, it wasn't even a thought.
Yeah, and
right.
It's the connective piece too, to me, that not even realizing, for example, the female superintendents that are out there, or assistant superintendents,
right.
I go travel the world, and I had probably previously met 2. Didn't know there was more than that.
Yeah.
So same here for sports turf, the amount that they're out there. So connecting that, I think you all made each other brave. You made those young girls brave to prove themselves to you, to show you what they could do.
And to echo on that, I think that, and you're all just smile. Like, to me, this is the heartwarming part for me. The difference between having to do something and getting to do something, having the privilege to witness history in the making, having the privilege to be at those tables, to have those opportunities, to see change, to see, we talk about, and I think, and Son, I'll ask you to probably speak on this, because it's part of the 3-step goals of the SFMA.
Let me hear this. Let me make sure I hear this part.
Okay. And so so honoring what we've just seen, and Christi, you respond with, we just broke the grass ceiling, and that happened at the Olympic Club.
Yes.
We break the grass ceiling again at Pine Needles. We break the grass ceiling again at the US, Little League. Thank you. And then the next U.S. Women's Open is at Pebble Beach, and full disclosure, we're coming. And Bubba, shout out to you, Bubba, at Pebble Beach. When you met us at the Olympic Club, you said, bring him. This is cool. He did.
Right.
That morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. He came to meet us all. Remember that day?
Yeah, that is right.
And so I think that the gift is that now we've witnessed it, we're experiencing it, we're actually living it. And so as I look at Son as the new president of the SFMA, I know.
Thank you.
I'm impressed.
And to see what your journey has been, and then to see what your vision is. And then how does that move you in terms of, I think it's your third principle in terms of the goals of the SFMA moving forward. What has it been like to be through this experience, now the sitting president for the SFMA, and knowing that one of the goals is to create more opportunities to reflect on the population?
Yeah. It's certainly a tall task, right? But like Dr. Devin Carroll talked about yesterday, simple labor needs, Women are roughly half of the population, and we are roughly 4% of this membership of this association. So, I'm no statistician, but I'm just going to say that's a little...
2% in golf.
2% in golf. Under 1.9, I think, or 1.8% golf. So there's clearly room to grow there. And we need more emerging professionals. We need more people in this industry. So it seems like a pretty simple match to me. But I'm not sure I can find the words to describe what it's like here yet.
Okay,
still coming.
It's a little fresh, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, and I think the gift is we're building bridges. We're the bridges that were built for us, and I'll use Crystal as one of my bridge builders that allowed me to go and to be all this. And then now we get the bridges in front of us, and that we're building. And now we have this really unique opportunity in history. Like, what did they say about well-behaved women rarely make history?
Yeah.
Rarely make history. We are not well-behaved, right?
We can be on our best behavior, but we don't need to.
When we have to be, we will be.
Yeah. And so, as we build these bridges moving forward, knowing with the champions that we have, all who are standing here with us, whether you're with us here in person like Mighty is, or not in person like Mighty is, or with all those that supported us, what do those bridges look like moving forward? And what does this do in terms of the momentum that we already have, calling it a groundswell, breaking the glass ceiling? How do we continue to lift up opportunity and lift up the passion for what we're doing? That's a long question.
That's a long question.
I just right now, just sitting here, I just keep thinking about how when I first started, coming to these conferences or being involved in this industry, there was no other women that really were out there. So when you came to some of these stuff, you didn't feel included. Mm-hmm. I think a big part about just everything that we're doing or the volunteering, you feel like you belong. You feel like you're appreciated. So when we have just like a comment yesterday, Kathy with Bulldog, she thanked us we forced her to go to the Women's Open because she says, I don't belong there. I don't know turf. I don't belong there. And I'm like, no, you are a woman in turf. You belong there. You're one of us. You support us. And she loved that Women's Forum lunch yesterday. What Dr. Devin Carroll had to say was mind-blowing. And she turned around and she thanked us for dragging her across that bridge. And again, we talk about just that bridge. We just got to keep showing other women that we're here. And when they are here, we need to bring them in and make them feel included. Yeah. And that's what we all look for, is just to feel included and belong to something. And now this is the most women I've ever seen at the SFMA.
Sure. It's the largest women's luncheon.
Yeah. And it's just like, how cool is this? And then we grab those women and we're like, Maria from Spain, come with us. You're coming with us. She knew nobody else here. She had nobody else here. And we're like, no, you're coming with us. You're a woman in turf in Spain now, so building that bridge.
We're gonna go
overseas.
We're gonna make it international.
Yeah.
We're going to Spain.
Immediately.
However you see to make that bridge, keep building that bridge. It could be just including people.
Mm-hmm.
It could be, just bringing them a part of something, drag them across that bridge, like Kelly says.
Yeah.
Maybe we should come up with a better term for that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
Work on that one.
We're going to work on that
Let's
one.
not use that as a soundbite.
New slogan.
I got to add to the groundswell piece too, because it's not just at this level. Like, Nina's the president of Nebraska Turfgrass Association. So, Presidente here. Christi Clay is the executive director of the Colorado SFMA chapter, as well as the Rocky Mountain Regional Turfgrass Association, on top of her day job. So, the drive, the inspiration that's sitting right here in these two women it's what keeps me going as well. So, not only are we dragging other people, but we're also lifting each other up too.
So I mentioned that to the girls in a group text message that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't even have went for the board. I wouldn't even, I show up to the conference and I'm just like, I'm the only girl here, and I saw what everybody else was doing and I thought, let's make a change. And Son would say things like, Nina, somebody's watching you. Mm-hmm. And it might be hard at times, but somebody's watching you. And I just like, okay, and that really just made me want to be more. And, just maybe somebody is watching me. So
they are.
For sure. I had an epiphany at the golf course show for the panel of gals, that spoke there, when one of the dads stood up and just said, thank you so much. He brought his daughter to the luncheon to hear the panel. And, my dad started our businesses in the grass seed industry, and I'm the oldest child, but I have a brother who runs our farm. But he basically passed the reins to me, to several of our businesses, and had the confidence in me. And what that dad said was, thank you for showing the opportunity that my daughter can have. Mm-hmm. And, I think there's a lot of men in the turfgrass industry that this is just opening eyes.
Yeah.
My daughter could get involved in this, and I want her to meet you guys.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe somebody should share the Jill Seymour story from the Pine Needles about the young woman that saw her on TV and then came to watch her set pins. Do you all know that story?
Yeah, well, it's like you know the story better than you were there.
So I love that you shared that, because it's happening over and over. And there was, with Jill Seymour, golf course superintendent, was on ESPN, on Golf Channel. And so we ended up, after they had broadcast that then the next day, and when you set the pins, you're the last one. You're everything's done ahead of you. You're the last one coming off the golf course. And Jill, this young woman, and her father are standing there watching Jill finish and set the pin. And as she came off of the green, the young woman asked for her autograph. And Jill's like, wow, okay. And she had seen her on television and wanted to understand. And so her dad brought her to the U.S. Women's Open to meet Jill Seymour to get her autograph. And I think then after that, then she was invited to come to the tent on the maintenance side. To
the Golf Now channel. Or,
and to come and meet Jill, and meet all of us. And I think that's so powerful. And I think it blew Jill away. She was like, wow.
Well, and just you sharing that story, we again built that bridge, brought her down to the tent, gave her some of the women in turf uniform, and made her feel like she belonged with us, and hopefully she takes that into the future.
I don't know if this was well known, but that young lady's dad works for the University of Tennessee on sports fields.
Oh, so I didn't know that.
Even though her dad is in the industry, she may not have even considered it as a possibility because she couldn't see what we showed her, what Jill showed her that day. So
she couldn't see someone who looked like her doing it.
Yep,
she's only
exactly.
And I think that we're hearing that over and over. There's moments of, oh wow, this is really possible. And having coached Division I sports for many years, there's a connection of opportunity. And when those opportunities are right in front of you and you don't even know it, I think, Son, you shared that today as you became president of the SFMA, that you are on the softball field. You would like to have seen those edges a little cleaner. You would have
well, that was pretty hard to miss.
It was a long time ago. Those guys did the best they could. I'm sure they did.
Yeah, no disrespect to those guys. But then even in we've all been athletes and played sports and hadn't been on those surfaces, but it wasn't until you were in graduate school as a sports administration going on to coach collegiate softball that you realized, wait a minute. So would you share a little bit of that background with us?
Yeah, so I thought I was going to be a college softball coach. That was my goal, sports administration, and move into that role. But I had one semester left of my degree, and I needed a summer job, and I just kind of lucked into working on the grounds crew for the Lexington Legends, and I think it was probably about 3 weeks, and I was just hooked right off the bat. So it took no time at all, and I'm thrilled that I finished my degree. I'm even more thrilled that I changed my career path, because I wouldn't be sitting in this seat right now with you all without having done that. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Bravo. And Christy, I think you have a similar story, don't you?
Similar, yeah. I mean, I went to Denison University, which is in Ohio, have an economics degree. And after college, I also worked for the Legends, but in marketing. And that's when I realized that is a position. Like, that's a career. Like, that's something that we could go do and have a great time doing it. I didn't know either. Had no clue. So, just fast forward and a couple jobs here and there, and I'm in the career. I'm in the sports field industry.
Now we're our crew of two.
Walk us through that.
Right here.
Yeah, in your spare time, right?
There's a good chance that we're the only all-female everyday crew anywhere, because it's just the two of us that manage our high school stadium. So we work really well together. Clearly, it's been a good run
How many
so
years?
Far, so.
How many years?
15.
15 years.
Something like that.
Awesome.
Total.
High five. And Dina, how many years for you? And this is also a unique path because we believe you might be one of a kind.
Oh yeah.
Well, we already knew that. I mean, let me rephrase that. Yes, you are. You are certainly one of a kind.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
In a loving,
we won't tell those stories.
way.
That's a compliment.
Yes.
I don't know.
I have been in the industry for, I think, 15 years. I think I'm on my 16th year. I started, same with you guys, I went to school. I have a management and marketing degree also. And I knew I wanted to do something with sports, like promotions and advertisement for, maybe a ball field in the area. So kind of started digging into that. And then my father and godfather started a company in Omaha, and they renovated and constructed athletic fields. So on the weekends, I would help do, some just throwing some, I'm a young girl, I have some muscles, throw some 50-pound bags around, and just, I love being outside, I love sports, and I just fell in love with hard work and working with there's so many people involved in it. I mean, the people you meet, whether it's the players, the coaches, the schools, there's so many people out there to meet. So you make a lot of friends, and you just grow a passion for what you do. And 15 years later, I love what I do, and it's very rewarding to tear something completely up and then put it back together and make it a beautiful masterpiece. So.
Indeed.
Rockstar.
Rockstar. And I think, Crystal, you didn't necessarily start out in breeding grass. You were led there, right?
Actually, I started working at the research farm when I was 13. So it's been over 40 years of breeding grasses, really, if you want to count my summer job.
But an accounting was in your background,
I was
too.
going to be an accountant, believe it or not. Yeah, my dad's like, really? You want to stay inside all year round? He's like, no, you don't. So he took me to Oregon State, and there was a woman barley breeder. And I'm like, wow, same idea. I saw that she could do it, and I'm like, that's my summer job. I want to do that. And so I transferred colleges, and the rest is history.
And I think I could say the same for myself. My undergrad was business administration, organizational leadership. I knew I had a lot of privilege because I was on the golf side for many years. And it wasn't until, I guess, 9 years ago now that I realized what a different opportunity was on the other side of the putter, if you would, because I played a lot of golf. But now I get to respect that whole, and just everything that goes into those surfaces. And I think we all have said this at one point or another, that the privilege that we have, whatever the influence that we have over it, is that we're creating some of the most pristine playing surfaces for these championships, which is essentially our championship. And yet here are these athletes in all different varieties from all over the world now that have experienced their championship while in tandem with what we would consider our championship. And so there's a complete difference in the ability to connect all of that into one big happy group. And I think that was part of the goal, is that there's this next layer of inclusion. There's this next layer of championship, if you will. And now those that were champions for us and continue to be, and the champions that we are for now, who comes next and what comes next. And so if you would share a little bit, I think we're getting close. I don't know what time. I think we have a few minutes here, but there's some layers of championing. Is that a word?
Yeah,
sure.
Championing.
Championing, sure. Yeah, it's a new word.
Going with it.
To champion for.
To champion for. Thank you. See, I just need a moderator. And so, and then championing for our lives, right? Because one of the things that all of this has created is the need for balance in our lives. We all have big jobs. We have big responsibilities. We all have big things to do in this world. So maybe share a little bit about what balance looks like.
We don't know yet. We're just trying to figure it out.
We are so off balance.
We are aware that there is a thing that we need to figure out called balance. Being a mother, a wife, the vice president of operations for being a woman in turf, you just have to figure out. There's a lot of important things you need to be a part, and you just got to figure out how to make all those things work, or which ones are more important at the time. And
because we never want to say no, right? Like, we want to do all the things.
But you got to remember to keep, you have family, you got to make work happy, and then you also got to make yourself happy. And I think that these are kind of maybe little maybe selfish things-ish.
That make us happy.
Because I don't want to say no to a single woman in turf event because that makes me happy. But But I do have to figure out which ones are the ones that we can be a part of.
Yeah. You got to keep a little of your peanut butter, Nina.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about the peanut butter.
Oh, should we? Oh yeah.
I don't know how much time he's eyeballing you.
He's busy. So real quick, in life we all get one jar of peanut butter, right? And we sit here today and we share peanut butter and we smile. My heart is so full of joy, but my peanut butter jar is overflowing. But there has also been many times where my peanut butter jar was quite empty because I didn't understand, and this is another where I would give Crystal a shout out of what balance looked like. That I could give a lot of peanut butter, but I would also need to fill up. And I wasn't at my best, and there are still times, trust me, that if my peanut butter isn't full, I'm not able to go and give everything I have in order to continue to fill. I thought you were saying peace, thanks. Peace, yeah, that's right, peace right there. And so I think that's the gift, right? We sit here today, we fill each other's peanut butter up. We sit here today, and I think that's part of one of the biggest gifts that's been given back to me is that even though it's challenging what we're doing and how we're doing it, but it's filling us up as we do it. And we're filling others up. And those that have filled us up are now part of making sure that next gen is filled up. Yeah. And so what are your words of love, wisdom, parting shot, quote, something that inspires you, anything that you want somebody to know out there?
Well, I'm going to start just so I can make this plug. If you're a woman in turf or in this industry and you're looking for support, to reach out to us. We would love to fill up your jar of peanut butter. There's a lot of us all over the nation that are very supportive and have been in situations where we couldn't have done it without each other. So if you are looking for your jar of peanut butter to be filled, you can reach out to the Women in Turf team. We're on Twitter at Women in Turf team. That's probably the best place to go. You can message us on the Twitter page. Also, would like for people to check out the Women in Turf Team documentary series that's coming out in February. And you can just kind of see what magic happens when we're together. And we would love for any woman to step up and be a part of that. So reach out if you need some support.
I love it. Next up.
Okay. I think, sometimes there's still some hesitancy to get on board and jump in because, it's kind of scary to do something different and something new. But I'm a huge proponent of stepping outside of your comfort zone. And I say, I'm going to quote you, Kelly, actually, get in, it'll be fun.
Get
Kelly
in,
promises.
it'll be fun.
I promise.
I'm going to steal that. I like that quote.
Yeah, you can have it.
Yeah.
You don't have to steal it.
Yeah, steal it. Get in and be fun.
Get in, it'll be fun, I
Get in,
promise.
it'll be fun. All right.
And I just think it's, we have so much time and so much energy. And so figuring out brings you joy and where you want to spend your energy. And this is a great way to be an influencer with the other gals together. So I think it's a win-win for everyone that gets involved.
Absolutely.
I want to say probably just take advantage of the movement that's going on right now, right? Like definitely identify it, visualize it, reach out to us for sure. Like do not be afraid to reach out. We're good.
All right. No, it's dialed. He'll let us go a little over. Yep. All right. No, and really thank you to Dialed, and I really want to give Doug and Chris a shout out because they have made a huge difference sharing Meg with us, and we can't thank them enough. So, Drew, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity.
Drew, shout out to Drew. Thank
Shout
you
out to Drew.
for
We
the
love you,
confidence
Drew.
that you bring the younger generation.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
All right. Until we meet again, my wish for you is that your dreams stay big, your worries stay small. I dare you to live.